After 10 months of waiting, I finally got my Moducases in. I had two DF60s arrive earlier, but today I'm going to show you how to put the DF120 together, and then I'm going to show you my completed setup and share some thoughts on this product as a whole. Let's get started. Everything came well packaged. I took a few minutes and laid all the pieces out in sizes to see what I was working with. Even though everything came labeled, for me this was easier to see how things went together. One of the best things with this order was that it came with this hex tool. The DF60s, which I had gotten earlier and assembled earlier, didn't come with this tool, and let me tell you, this made it way easier than the little Allen key that I used originally. First up, you take the top, bottom, middle bar and slide the screw into the midpoint and then tighten the screw. You're going to do this twice and end up with two looking like this. Take the side frame back bar with the rubber slot facing up. Slide the end over the screw that's extended and then tighten it. You're going to do this on both the top and bottom of one side. Then you're going to take the panel that's labeled back panel and slide it along the track with the label facing to the back and the holes orientation along the top. It slides in easily, and once you get it to the end, just make sure it's pushed in as far as it'll go. Next up is putting the back frame middle bar into the center. I've got to tell you, you're going to have to futz with this a little bit in order to get it to go in evenly, but once you do, it will line up with the other post evenly, and then you'll just tighten the screws in on both sides. Take the second back panel and repeat what you did with the first panel. Then line up the second side frame back bar with the rubber slot facing up. Line up the two bars and then tighten the screws on both ends. Stand up the unit with the back panel holes at the top. The first time I did this, I was confused because eventually these holes end up on the bottom for the wires and everything to track through. But for now, you're going to want these holes at the top. Now you're going to take the two side frame bars, again with the rubber slot facing up, and you're going to connect this to the bottom of the side frame back bar. You'll end up looking like this. Take the panels labeled top panel. They have two different style corners cut out, and you want to have the longer corner cut out to go to the outside of the unit. With the label facing down, slide the panel through the grooves until it snaps into position. With both panels in, it should look like this. Now comes the worst part of the whole process, removing the sticker protection from the plexiglass. This is brutal, and it took me way longer than it should have. By the time I got to the last one, I finally got it down and actually got the last sticker off in one piece. I've got to admit, I was way more excited about this than I should have been. It was almost like I got a new hot toy. Now that you have them clear, you put the side panel into the rubber slots. You want to put a little bit of pressure onto it so that it fits snug into those rubber grooves. Once you have both side panels in place, it really begins to look like a case. Now we're getting ready to put the front face on. So loosen both screws on the side frame bars. You're going to want to loosen them about 1/2 inch. This next part isn't impossible to do alone, but it would have been a lot easier to do with someone else. You're going to take the front panel and you want to make sure that the hole with the screw thread is at the bottom. If you're on your own, it'll take a little bit of patience, but line it up as best you can and then tighten the bottom screw just a little bit. Don't tighten it all the way. Give yourself a bit of room to get the other screws started, and then you can go around and tighten them all. Take the last two side frame bars, and with the rubber slot facing down this time, put them in place and tighten the screws. Then do a quick check of all the screws to make sure they're all solid at this point. Now it's time to flip the unit over so that the back panel holes are now on the bottom. At this point, I'm really surprised how sturdy and solid this unit is. Now you can take the bottom base and you'll notice the notch for where it fits perfectly on the bottom track. Once you line it up at the back, you can see it'll just fit perfectly into place. There you have it. Man, these cases are next level. They're so sturdy, and to me, they just look so good. They took me on average about 40 minutes a piece to put together. And I gotta tell you, a good deal of that time was actually just peeling off the stickers from the side and front plexiglass. Again, I did this on my own, and this next part, in hindsight, I really should have had someone else help me. I began putting the individual units together for my display. This is one of the DF120s, which is going to go on top of the two DF60s. Once I got them stacked together, I was getting really excited for what the final display would look like. Now you're going to fasten the two units together with two different types of fasteners. The first is this silver one that goes along the outside track, and this connects them vertically. You just slide it down into the middle of the two units and then tighten the screws. This is the right side of my display. Two DF60s on the bottom and two DF120s on top. Again, I really should have had a partner, but I did put these up on my display all by myself. As you can see, I just had a few inches to spare from the ceiling. I'm so glad I did all these measurements over and over and over again before I had these units made and before I built the base that you can see. On the custom cases I had made, I had to add these rubber liners to put pressure between the panels and the bars. It was amazing how quickly you could just feel the pressure it created and how these are actually dustproof. The next fastener goes on the inside and connects the units horizontally. This drove me nuts. I have big hands, and getting these little guys to slot in took me a little bit of time and a little bit of patience. Once you do, you just line them up and screw in this black faceplate. I have one on the inside halfway up and one behind halfway up. So here we have all the units all connected both vertically and horizontally. This display is heavy and solid, and I'm really impressed with the quality. Next up is the lights. I opted for the LED strip lighting because I've got a lot of figures and I wanted an even lighting as opposed to positional lighting. These are just fastened with a few strips of double-sided tape. They go right up against the bar on the inside and attach with just a little bit of pressure. Now you take the wire track that goes on the outside of the unit. It pulls apart easily and has two-sided tape on it as well. Once you get the cable run through it and it put back together, you connect the ends and pull the track all the way to the end of the connection and put it in place in the top side of the unit. Then you just run the cable down and all the way out the bottom. After 2 days of building, I was ready to bring all my figures to the office. I'd been waiting for 10 months for this moment, and I gotta tell you, I had a blast spending all day putting my figures in their place. In total, there are 2 DF60s, 2 DF120s, and 3 custom sizes. The display backgrounds you see were made by Dean at Backdrops and Bases. His Facebook link is in the description below. He's an awesome guy, and the product is incredible. To me, they really add something to the display and they make the figures pop or stand out more. I love the Moducases, and to me, they are well worth the investment. both with the quality of the materials and the size and the flexibility they bring to a display. I've had so many people come into my office and they comment on the cases, not just the figures. One person told me they look like something at a museum. Now again, I know these aren't cheap, but the truth is they don't look cheap either. To me, they really take the collection to another level. One issue I have with the display is the plexiglass. It's a lot more reflective than I would like. I guess there's no real way around that, so for videos or pictures, I just take the plexiglass off the front. And the good news, I guess, is that's really easy to do and that nothing moves or shifts when I do that. Every time I opened the door in a detolf, I felt like I was gonna shatter it or break it, but that's not the way it is with the Moducases. But bigger than that, the biggest issue for me with the Moducases is the wait period. I was originally told 4 months for production, and it took over 10 months to get them all in hand. And that grated on me big time. But now, after having my display all put together, I've got to say, it's quickly forgotten. I'm kind of now in my mind thinking that it's the same as pre-ordering a figure and then waiting those crazy gaps of time before you actually get it in hand. One of the best things about Moducases isn't just the product itself, but it's actually the person behind the scenes. Brian, who owns and runs the company, is an incredible guy and he's really good at customer service. He texted me directly, personally, many times, and he was quick to respond to questions I had about the order status, and he was very apologetic about the wait that I was experiencing. And even during the assembly process, he texted me many times and answered my questions. He is an incredibly great guy. And so I've got to say, at the end of the day, I'm really impressed with this product. Thanks for taking some time to watch this video. I hope it was helpful and informative, and if you're getting Moducases, I think you're going to be really, really happy with them when you get them in hand, and hopefully this video helps you just a little bit with the assembly process. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you just take a moment and hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be continuing to put out content on 6-scale figures and dioramas and displays, so I would love it if you would stay tuned for more videos that are coming your way.